Hi everybody, welcome back to Drumfills Kafé. Drumfills Kafé in English. We have a lot of shows already done in English. We are in season 7. If you didn't know, we had a lot of big names like Todd Zuckerman, David Garibaldi, Mark Kelso, Don Lombardi, Paul Bostaph, like name it. And since then we didn't stop. We don't have a lot of shows in English. Just for one reason, we were putting a lot more artists in one show before. Since 2 seasons, it's one person per show. So before we had like 2, 3, even 6 artists. Sometimes the show we had like very long show. So I recommend you to go on drumfillscafe.com, go in the English section, and you will find out all the link for the videos we did by the past. We do have different languages too. We did in French, Spanish, and Portuguese. So if you're curious, you can go check it out. For example, we had Horacio Hernandez, but it's in Spanish, not in English. So if you're curious to see the interview, you're more than welcome. After that, for an example, we have also like editors, and they write article. They will write article every month. So we have in French and English for the moment. The Spanish is coming. So if you want to check it out, go in the texto section. We also have editorial. So go in edito section. You can click and see the editorial of Frank Camus every month. Normally we have contests one time per season. So if you didn't know, you can go check contests if we have one right now, and also you can check the past contests. By the past, we had drums, percussion, cymbals, drum head, rehearsal, studio time, a lot of stuff for giveaway, sorry. And this is super nice because we always have super good help from the sponsors. So they always give us like good gifts. We kind of develop like a partnership with them. And if you want to see that, go in partnership, partners by the past or partners by now, and you can see who have worked with us with Drumfills Kafé. So let's go to talk with our artist of the week. I will like talk a little bit, but let's go with him directly. Will be faster. But he's from Mexico City. He studied the classical percussion at the National Conservatory of Mexico. I actually played there like a few years ago. It was amazing. He composed jingle for Telmex, music mobile game, and other production. He played with the Metropolitan Philharmonic, Camerata Opus 11. So we will talk about that because it's not a small piece and it's a big project. He also played the music for like Il Divo. Maybe you know the band. And it's also a teacher for many years. Here he have his own drum school. So let's go see him. Hello, Joffre. How are you doing?
Oh, hi. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for being there. Thank you for accepting to be one of the guests on the Drumfills Cafe.
Oh,
Super cool.
thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate very much the opportunity to be here talking to you.
Well, I mentioned the partners. Normally, I don't do that, like partners, like sponsors and stuff, because I wanted, before we talk about you, I wanted to say thank you for the people that know. You produce one drum, like one tom, like a few years, like last year for the Drumfills Cafe contest, and that was cool. Because the people didn't know we had a contest in Mexico, and you have a company. What's the name of your company for everybody know?
My company is called Calupo Drums, and I make octavans and
Mhm.
power octavans. Octavans, the 6-inch drum, and the power octavans, uh, 8 inches.
Yeah, and I like the quality of the tube because you're really picky. You really choose. I remember you told me you don't want to go with whatever tube because some sound so not so good, some are quality is not so good. So you're really research to get a good product and at the same time good product, but you don't put the sometimes hardware. If someone wants the best hardware, you can, but you try to get hardware for the price, for you don't be too pricey, so your percussion are accessible for everybody. That's a cool point too.
Yeah, because I have always loved octavans. The
Mhm.
first time I listened to the octavans was with Dream Theater. with
Hmm.
Mike Portnoy and his big kid, and I love the Octoban. So I wanted to create uh, an affordable option because here in Mexico, sometimes the prices
Too
are very,
expensive.
very high. So it's almost impossible to get a pair of Octobans. So uh, I do some research about the materials, and I found a, a good source of the acrylic drums, the acrylic tube. So I make them.
Yeah.
As you said, I get the deluxe hardware, or I can get the cheap hardware but with great quality.
Yeah, that's the point, because
So,
if you have cheap but not good quality, the people won't
yeah,
like it. But I remember I tried some of your Octoban, and like you told me, if someone want the top hardware, you can put it. But if someone want an affordable with good quality, it's mostly what the people should go with, because they won't pay too much, and the sound will be great at the same time.
yeah, because a lot of people interested in Octobans are like uh, young students or people that like music just as a hobby.
Hmm.
So
Totally,
they don't have too much money to spend on music gear.
totally.
So it's
No.
always good to have good options because here in Mexico we tend to buy all of the American products, but in the last year we have uh, new brands, new Mexican brands of cymbals, drums, drumsticks, and that's a great option because it's cheaper and it's like the national products.
Yeah, well, for example, old symbols, or like
They're great.
yeah, they're great. They're like, in for example, because I said these one because they're good quality. Well, these one are made in China, I guess. But
Yeah,
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 but I know you have some drums. They're really almost 100% made in Mexico.
yeah,
So maybe it's some part of the hardwares, but the shells are made in Mexico, and yes, the quality is good, and it would be a little bit less pricey, I guess, because you don't have importation fees and transportation,
yeah,
so that you will save a lot. Um, Montano drumsticks,
yeah, yeah.
they're
Great
great
drum.
drumsticks. Yep. Anyway, we can name it a lot. But what was, because you just mentioned you wanted avocado because you like it, but there's a step, the point step, like at the moment you decided you want something for you, but also to build a company. When that moment arrived, because for example, I like, let's say, I like a snare drum, like a tarol, like a small without
Yeah.
the lugs. An example, and I can build one for me, but but when I decided, okay, I will make a company of that, is it because you were in pandemic 2 years ago, or it was just because you knew you knew you wanted to do a company with that? When that moment started?
Uh, I really always love to create things and to build things, and a lot of people around me always wanted Octobans. So I thought it was a good idea to get my own Octobans because
Yes,
I
for sure.
have done some Pearl Decabons. I think that's
The
the name,
carbons. Yeah, the
the
carbons.
the Pearl model of the Octobans. But I wanted to create uh, my own lengths, and a lot of people wanted to get some, so that's why I created, I build them.
It's super good. And I know you had brushes too. And like you have some drumstick, right? Like, but like more accessories, right? Did you do still those, or you stopped? I don't know, because I am asking.
I have brushes because I managed to get my hands on some great quality brushes at a very low price.
Okay.
So sometimes, because of the taxes and all the importation fees, prices get very high. But
Fast. Mhm.
I managed to get a very low price for brushes, and I also built small snare drums just with
Okay.
one head, and I got the special snares, and they
Yep.
sound great at
Yep.
very cheap price, and the material is very resistant.
Okay. Okay. Is it the one like the brush touch the head
Yeah,
by under? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Okay.
you have just like something to adjust it.
Okay, that's so cool. I would like to see that. But
Yeah.
well, I wish you good luck with your business, and I think it's gonna go well. And if the people are curious, Calupo, like I mean, you can find the. Do you have picture on the Facebook and on the Instagram for? I think you have those, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You can look for Calupo Drums on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, perfect. Well, anyway, on the website of Drumfills Cafe, we have your logo in the partners, and they can go check it out, and they will know how to find out
Yeah,
where
sure.
you are. So, beside that, well, you're a musician. We'll talk about all your classical studying and all that. But is the drum is your first instrument, or you started with something as a piano, violin? Because a lot of musicians sometimes, funny to say, but their actual instrument is not the one they started with. So for you, what was it?
Actually, it was the guitar.
Yeah,
I got an electric guitar because I like rock bands. So
yeah.
I wanted to learn an instrument. I got an electric guitar for my birthday when I was 10, and I went to a Yamaha Academy
Okay,
for I don't remember, like 2 years. But when I was 11, I also wanted a drum kit. So I got a cheap drum kit, but I learned drums by myself to
cool.
that point. And when I was 14, I got into the National Conservatory, but I into classical percussion. I was deciding between classical guitar, or classical percussion.
Percussion.
So at the end, I decided for the drums, for
Drum.
uh, timpani, concert marimba, glockenspiel, and also the drum set. But my education was mostly about classical music. So I have a very strong classical music background, but
Okay.
I'm also a very big fan of popular music.
But this is interesting uh, because I will say something. The It's funny because when I was growing as a kid, as a student, because I would make a relation with you.
Mhm.
In the house, my music was mostly like half metal, punk,
Mhm.
rock, like
Yeah.
that was that part. Or I was growing up with like big bands, Buddy Rich, or even some progressive music like back then. Um, but my training school when I was a kid was classical, almost 100%. I took drum lessons, but like I mean, all my high school, because I was in the special
Yeah.
class, advanced class in music, like we had more class than normal people in music per week. I was studying like it was only classical music, and all my I did my college in classical. It's funny, but pop. But my university was a mix of jazz and classical, so
Mm.
it was really. So I think this is a good. It's good because it learn you can learn other instrument, timpani, and I will say something funny. Maybe it happened to you. You have to do like a classical piece. You have like let's say 300 measures,
Mhm.
and you have one hit of one triangle measure
Yeah.
202. You have to count it and be on it. If not, the musical director will look at you like the conductor, like you miss it. So
Yeah.
let's go to that actually, because you talk about your classical background. um, how it is to be like, because I can see you are professional classical musician, like on your side you do a lot of gig, but you do like professional concert as a classical musician. How it is to train, because you play with big metropolitan orchestra and classical orchestra. How it is to practice, how you see that it's organized, how you deal with the pieces, because there's some they're hard. Is it sight singing, or you prepare in advance, you practice in advance?
Uh, well, first of all, I think classical music gives you a very dense and strong background because you understand a lot about music and how and why music is like it is today.
Hmm.
So that's very interesting. And now, when I have gigs, sometimes I have gigs to play jazz or boleros or in symphony orchestras. Uh, Mostly on all symphony orchestras, all the things you play as you read, by
Okay.
sight reading.
Okay.
It depends. Sometimes you have very difficult passages, for Hielophone, Porgy and Bess, or the Glockenspiel parts of, uh, I don't know the name in English, but Aprendiz de Brujo of Paul Dukas from the Fantasia movie of Disney.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
All those very difficult passages that you have to study a lot, and all of those passages are required for the
Yeah.
orchestra's mission. So it's very demanding because you have to play every note as it is written. You can't improvise anything.
No, because
Everything
it's really.
very specific. Um, and it sounds easy to play the triangle, and maybe it is, but the hard thing about playing the triangle is knowing where and when,
Yeah, for sure. It's
because
like it's like a juggler. No, sorry, it's like a juggler. You juggle with three balls. You fall one. Everybody will know you will make a mistake. It's the
yeah,
same thing. If you have to do one thing, because in the piece, I don't know, one door open, or its reaction with a like a string part. If you do it at the wrong part, you miss your cue, and it doesn't make sense in the song.
yeah, but it's very interesting because when you practice all your repertoire, uh, you have to look at the piece
Hmm.
as if you were the conductor, because you
Oh yeah,
have
for sure.
to every cue and everything uh, the instruments are playing.
It's good to
So
it's good thing to say. I do. Are you a conductor too? Did you did that before?
actually, no.
No.
Uh, but most of all symphonic works, you have to know a lot of the structure and the themes and where, I don't know, the strings come in, and when the brass comes in. So you know exactly where to play. It's not only counting bars, because that's not very musical. I mean,
No,
if
and
you don't
it's
know
long.
the piece, well, you have to count. But if you have the opportunity to get to know all the great symphonies, it's very interesting because you enjoy them more, and you know exactly what are you playing, even
Yep.
if
Yep.
if it is just two notes on the triangle or just one note on the cymbals, because that's the opposite part of drums, because in drums you play a lot and you have to count a lot, but always playing.
Hmm.
So it's similar, but in the opposite side.
Yeah, but it's good what you mentioned, because you said you need to not count necessarily, but you need to follow the piece, of
Yeah,
course, because you normally that those classical pieces, they have an evolution and they have curves like a roller coasters.
yeah,
So the when you follow, you know where they are. It's like checking like a music score in jazz. You will have your chords and the changes and all, but classical music will be a bit the same. I know I know sometimes it's not so cool, because you will receive a percussion chart and you can tell me about that with only the percussion. But I like to have. I remember I had received like charts with the percussion and the
mm,
guideline, one line about like some like where is he going, so you can follow, like you said, like the musical conductor kind of approaches, so you can really punch and do your thing. So instead to count is like you're reading a book,
Yeah.
but in real life, so you know, and you normally, for me, I'm always 2 3 measure in advance, so I can really feel it. So it's a good thing, because I'm sure that, because right now people are watching the show, and some people are not, they don't have nothing like acknowledgement about what is to play classical music, or the people, they are not even musicians. So I think it's a good approach what you said, because it will portray more what it is to be a like a classical percussion player or musician, like in general.
Yeah, yeah, because uh, in classical music, you get to know all the work of great composers, and you see how they mixed every instrument to sound that great,
Hmm.
and they just wrote the exact notes they wanted you to play. Even if it was just two notes on the triangle, it
Exact.
was just perfect. And I think it's the same with drums, because on the drum set you can play a lot of chops or fills, but not that doesn't mean it will work.
Depend of the song, actually. So yeah, it depends, and it's like you said, some song, if you play for a singer, like, or like whatever in drums, you will do some kind of playing. If you play your own song and you don't care, you can do whatever you want, but my point is like you will adjust with the situation.
Yeah,
But
of
it's
course.
good. What is your main instrument in classical? Like, I mean, I know you, give me some, when you're a
Yeah.
percussion player classical, you will have to do a lot: cymbal, snare drum, percussion, like a lot. But what is your specialty?
I think my strong point in classical percussion is timpani.
Okay,
I really love timpani. I think I have a decent ear to tune
okay,
the
that's
timpani.
good.
So I think that's my instrument. I like also the snare drum and the keyboards, but for me, it's harder to play keyboards.
Okay, well, keyboard depend on which. For example, when I was playing xylophone,
Hmm.
they're smaller, that's bigger. When I was in college, I have to learn with 2 sticks, but later when I grew up, I have to learn with 4 sticks. So
Yeah,
you completely adapt your playing, and it's not that easy to switch, like to have the pattern to make the chords and really open, and it's an art. There's people, it's my not my main instrument, but I understand what you say. It's something you really need to dig on, and really really good on it. But it's good to know that. And let's talk about drums. Actually, we're talking about drum. I know, but you're a drummer too, and even if you play classical music, you were talking about your influences. You have different influences, but and you're a teacher. Uh, but when you decided to jump in the drum, because I know you have a small kit, and you have
mhm.
a big kit. Okay, you really have like the two things, the two world. But my point is like, I know you have your big kit. Is it something you really like to have a big set, or is because you have the space in your studio and you can do it, or you're more like the guy you play with a small kit because it's more convenient, or you do both? What is your approach for that?
Uh, when I began playing drums, I was a big Mike Portnoy fan, so
Okay.
I wanted the enormous kit. Then, when I start gigging, I
Hmm.
realized it was
Yep.
impossible. So I have a big kit for rock and
Okay.
metal, and I have a smaller kit, a sonor kit, Martini, that it's very very small, but it's very lightweight, and it's great to go out and play, because for a lot of time I played boleros,
Yeah.
so I needed small drums. You
It
can
doesn't.
play bolero in a 22 bass drum. So that small kit, it's amazing, great quality. The snare drum that came with that kit, I think it's one of my favorites. It's not that expensive. It's not like a very great quality snare drum, but it has a great sound.
Is
So
important.
yeah, so I think Sonor have great kits. So that's what I do. Sometimes I have to play the cajon, or sometimes mix between the drum set, um, glockenspiel, or the tambourine. It depends.
So you move around, but it's okay. It's perfect, and that bring you different ideas. And you just said something good. You said that it's not an expensive snare, and but I like it. And I always like tell everybody, you never shop with your eyes, you shop with your ears. Like, of
Yeah.
course, if you see a drum and you like it, you say, well, and let's say that Pearl Master wood, like Mappa finish, like burgundy, whatever, burgundy color, I love it. Of course, if you will play with your heart, and you will be, it's like the same to buy a car with your eyes. Okay, you say, this car is so great, so cute, but the engine is not so cool. It takes a lot of gas, but I like the kit. So the car. So you're buying what you see, but maybe not for the performances or what you expect to have. So it's important to always take care of what you're buying or what you want to play with. Is it will give you what you want for your needs, but also for, is it worth it to pay that money for something you're not sure to have. This is super important. A lot of good drummer, I like, world known and drummer, like recorded a lot of album. Most of them, they recorded almost everything with those Ludwig snare in steel, 4x5.5 or 4x6, 6.5, or like snare, like it's not the most fancy one you will have in the world. Of course, it's cool to, let's say I will buy the most expensive DW snare ever they did. You will pay like the Neil Peart edition for $5,000. It's super cool, but is it the best sounding snare at that moment? Maybe not. Maybe you will have the same performance with one at $300-400. It's not, but it's a good example you just said for the kids or people that are listening, because you need to really go to try and check out if you like the sound first, and after you can go with what you see. I think like that now. I try a lot of drums and snare. I had a lot of snare in my life, and I know which one is for collections, and I know
Mhm.
which one is for playing in
Yeah.
my collection I have like 55 snare, but in my real life I use 3-4 snares, and
Yeah.
and that's it. So it's good. Talking about that, um, like I think about you about one thing. You put like a color heads drums on your like the Remo, like
Mhm.
color heads on your kit, and you have a drum school, and I think it's cool because you can tell the student to hit which color. They can play games with the drum, not just playing notes, I guess.
Yeah, actually, I have a pair of twins,
Okay.
very small kids, 5 years old, and they are still trying to learn uh, to read and write.
Yep.
But with music, I realized that they first read music rather than letters.
Hmm.
So to use the color heads was a great idea because uh, they base a lot of things in their brain with colors, and in that and using those colors, I write the music notes
Yeah, it's a
for.
great idea.
So those small kids are learning how to read music before they are reading words.
Word.
So I think this will help them a lot on school, not just in music, but in general. I, I, that's what I like about teaching music. It's not just about the music; it's about everything around it.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
a lot of people, for instance, I have a student that has multiple sclerosis,
Okay. Well.
so he's learning drums as a therapy. therapy to slow down his his disease. and I don't know, I think that's great,
I think
because
it's great.
it's not just about music or playing fast and playing a lot of chops,
No,
but it's I don't know, about everything in their life, because it makes them very happy.
but yeah, for
And
sure. And you say something. Sorry, you say about color. You said they see colors. You know, most of the musicians see colors when they play music. When I play, I have something going on in my head. Like, I don't. People say it's crazy, but no, I really feel colors and vibes.
yeah,
So I can really sometimes feel it's darker, sometimes it's like
yeah,
lighter, or it's and I think this is connected with the brain and the emotion. So I think it's good the relation with you were talking about.
yeah, yeah. I actually also I don't know, I always relate a song with a color or stuff like that. I think there's a condition for that, for people that sees or taste colors.
Ah, it's
Uh,
possible. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
see,
possible.
yes, yeah, something like that. I don't remember.
I don't remember too. Actually, what I saw, I was watching like a few, like maybe 8 years ago and something like that, long time ago, a documentary about that, and they talk exactly about that, but I don't remember all the terms. But yeah, there's a condition. Apparently, most of the people could feel it, but they didn't develop that part.
Yeah,
So some people are more responsive to that. So it depends of where you are, and that's why the music or the sport, painting, photography, like arts, develop that aspect.
yeah,
So if you push in one sport, will be the same. You will have like parts you won't realize, but when you run for a balls or you like, you will have a mood, and this mood will give you some kind of color or emotion at at the same time. Yep,
yeah,
they make
yeah.
studied about that.
Very interesting. It's a very I don't know, big phenomenon in the brain. Music is, I don't know, you can see how the brain lights up when you play music. You
Totally.
use a lot of your brain, emotions, math. Also, you develop discipline. Uh, you learn how to deal with frustration. So it's not just the music, but a lot of good things will come from learning an instrument.
For sure. The pianist Glenn Miller from Canada, uh, he has sclerosis. He had like a problem with like a very hard like muscle like
Yeah,
and nerves problems, and his brain was so strong. He was overwriting his muscle. He was not able to walk, and he was going to piano at 70 or 80, and he was playing perfect. So the brain was overwriting what the muscle wanted to do. It's intense. So it we go deep when you think about that. So it's an example.
I
Um,
I, I saw a documentary about people with Alzheimer disease,
mhm.
and all people that don't recognize their children
Okay.
anymore, but they remember all their music and the lyrics
Yep.
and everything about music. So
Like
it's incredible.
it's a good example that because so many musicians, for example, they will say I will give you an example on me. It's just I don't want to be myself and I, but just an example. I did a drum event like recently, like in September, and I didn't have access to a drum for 2 months. So
Mhm.
I only practiced on a pad snare and a pad bass drum my 25-minute performances. And I showed up and I have an electronic drums for about 10 days to practice. But when I played live, I didn't touch a real drum for 3 months. And it was like if it was yesterday I was playing a real drum. Like I didn't feel the difference. I think what it made me weird it was maybe the mix or the ambience, but I mean the kit itself, it
Yeah,
was if I play study, your
yeah.
brain really remember that. So it's a good
Like
example.
riding a bicycle.
Exactly. We have around 2-3 minutes left. It's almost finished. It goes so fast.
Yeah.
Just to to finish, like I would like to talk about a bit, like because you did a lot of good show. You play with Il Divo. You did the Metropolitan Philharmonic. You did a lot of different kind of project. You even play in restaurant and bars and stuff like that. Um, do you have preferences, or you still enjoy to play in whatever kind of project? Because some people say I don't do wedding anymore, but some people say I like to do whatever. Are you that kind of person? You like to do whatever, or you have preferences?
Uh, well, sometimes you do what you can and not what you want.
It's possible.
But
Yep.
I really, really liked playing with Il Divo in the National Auditory here in Mexico City. I played timpani and Latin percussion, and it
Okay.
was great because you have a drum tech, so you just have to focus on playing. And
That's it.
sometimes when you have smaller gigs, you have to carry all the stuff,
Ah,
and sometimes you get more tired carrying
of
the drum
course.
than playing. So that's something I really, really liked. I also like very much the orchestra because when you play timpani, it's the same. You have the timpani there, you just have to go and play. And I don't know, I really like the timpani, but also I really, really love playing rock wherever, on a bar or a big venue, but feeling the bass drum on your chest when you play them, or the floor toms and the snap of the
The
snare
snare.
drum, it's incredible. I
No,
mean,
you're. Yep.
love classical music because I think classical music is rock without distortion,
Yep.
but
But depend of the composer.
oh yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, you would have, like, I don't know, like from Russia or Germany, like Stakovich or whatever. Like there's like the aggressive part military. Like when you understand the history of that, there was some music was like for it was kind of rebellion of the government, but the way they were talking for talk at that time was writing hard music
Yeah.
was the classical. But if you go like in let's say like in France, like you will have like composer kind of soft, so it's like
Yeah,
the pop for
yeah,
that
yeah.
time. So you need to depend on, you know what I mean. So it depends on which composer.
But I really like that about rock and metal music. That sound of the drums is incredible.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Like on the big stage, it's amazing. I could look. We're done. I would like you to tell us, repeat it, where the people can access to your like social media or contact you for you, and also for Kalupos and another project. It's on the way for you. So what are your social media, website, or whatever?
My personal Instagram is solid.joffre.drummer. You can find also Calupo drums, just like that. Calupo with a C and with an H at the end.
Okay.
Estudio de Batería de la Ciudad de México. That's my private drum studio.
Okay.
So if you want to take classes, I'm here at Mexico City.
Okay. And you do online lessons sometime for the people that are not in Mexico City, if they're calling from
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
France, for example. Yep.
yeah, sure. Online lessons. I did a lot of online lessons during the pandemic.
Oh yeah, well, but still, but it's way I can say like it's different now. Like
Yeah,
the people, for example, taking lesson now online because they have needs for that. They cannot go far from their house because they work a lot, or
yeah,
they have kids and is going to school. But after that, I think a lot of people back to the real lessons in person because they want to feel it. They want to really
yeah,
enjoy the instrument.
yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you to be one guest for Drumfills Cafe for season 7. It was a pleasure to have you on board, and we'll see you soon, actually. And I wish you a lot of good luck with your company. I hope you're going to sell a lot of those drums.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. So thank you very much, and see you soon,
Bye.
buddy.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you for Joffrey. So if you're interested to buy like those Octobands, Octobound, you can check it out. Calupos Percussion. If you don't remember all of that, you can write us on Drumfills Kafé. We will send you all the links about how you can get your hands on those percussion. So on that, just reminder, if you really want to know more about Drumfills Kafé, go on our website, www.drumfillscafe.com. You will find out everything you need to know about us. So on that, I wish you a great week.